Tae-soo gives his daughter sleeping pills. He even lights scented candles, just to make her fall asleep faster. Then he goes shopping at the mall. But he never expects his foolishness will separate him from his daughter forever. When the girl turns in her sleep, she accidentally knocks over a teddy bear. It falls right onto the burning candle. The flaming teddy drops onto the carpet. Bright flames quickly spread through the room. Drugged by the sleeping pills, the girl sleeps deeply as fire surrounds her. Neighbors gather when they see smoke. The fire spreads too fast to stop. They can only call firefighters and wait. The mother, Eun-hyang, rushes home from her parents' house. She sees a crowd blocking the way. Everyone stares at her burning home. Her house is on fire. Her daughter screams, "Mommy!" from inside. Eun-hyang tries to run through the flames, but neighbors hold her back. They say help is coming soon, but fate plays a cruel joke. The fire truck and ambulance crash on their way. As minutes tick by, her daughter's chances grow slimmer. Eun-hyang can't accept losing her child. She breaks free from the neighbors, runs into the smoke-filled house searching, gathers her barely breathing daughter, and carries her to safety. But with no ambulance arriving, they miss the critical rescue time. The sweet girl passes away. Meanwhile, Tae-soo is casually shopping at the mall, debating gift colors for his lover, Se-kyung. When his wife's call for help comes, he angrily hangs up, only learning the truth from TV news. He can't believe it. At the hospital, he screams at staff, demanding to see his daughter, but they block him at the door. He loses control and attacks them. This baby was conceived after 8 IVF attempts. He can't accept her sudden death. Eun-hyang hears the commotion and comes. She stops her out-of-control husband, wanting comfort from her loved one. But Tae-soo unexpectedly slaps her across the face and blames his wife, saying, "It's because you insisted on going home to care for your sick mother that our precious daughter lost her life." Tae-soo collapses to the ground, crying loudly. Eun-hyang is also heartbroken, believing her carelessness caused their daughter's death. She keeps hitting her chest hard. Her daughter was her whole life. She wishes she could trade her own life for her daughter's. Police investigation reveals the fire was caused by a burning scented candle in the room. As police ask for more details, Han Sung nervously interrupts the conversation. He tells police he checked the room before leaving and there were no flames at that time. Police think maybe the child played with fire, lighting the candle when no adults were home. When Eun-hyang looks doubtful, Tae-soo makes excuses and sends the police away. Eun-hyang looks confused. "Our daughter was afraid of fire. She couldn't even use a lighter. She couldn't have started the fire." Facing his wife's questions, Tae-soo raises his voice to hide his guilt. "Are you saying I killed our daughter?" He accuses her of making excuses for her own mistakes and angrily pushes his weak wife down, then runs to the stairwell, shouting at himself. "How could you do this? How could you? What about our beautiful child?" While packing her husband's suitcase, Eun-hyang notices something unusual, a sexy piece of women's underwear among his clothes. The store receipt's date and location make her suspicious. Tae-soo panics and tries to stop her, afraid his secret might be discovered. He grabs the receipt and lies. "It was a gift I bought for you at the airport, but you don't deserve gifts after killing our daughter." His words make Eun-hyang feel worse. She holds Tae-soo tightly, whispering, "I'm sorry," over and over. Her doubts about him fade for now. A child is a mother's greatest love. Eun-hyang keeps visiting their burned home, bringing her daughter's favorite hamburgers and eating them at her memorial altar. She eats all the burgers with her daughter at the memorial altar. Tae-soo sees his heartbroken wife. He looks slightly pained but shows no sympathy. She brought this upon herself. If she hadn't gone to her mother's house, this tragedy wouldn't have happened. The woman's body finally gives out from too much grief. She's sent to the hospital for treatment. But the wife still can't let go of her doubts. The scented candle must have been lit for a reason. Before she can finish, Tae-soo yells at her. "Either our daughter lit it or I did. Are you suspecting me?" The wife says she didn't mean that. "But our daughter didn't even know where the candle was, and she couldn't use a lighter." Tae-soo angrily points at his wife's head. "I work hard every day to support this family. You abandoned our daughter for your mother, and now you're blaming others." He orders her never to mention this painful subject again. Then he storms out angrily, leaving his wife crying alone in the hospital room. He sneaks into a corner and happily texts his lover, Se-kyung. Just then, Tae-soo's coworker comes to visit on behalf of the company. From their conversation, she learns Tae-soo was never sent on any business trips. Hearing this about her husband, who often claimed to be on work trips, she realizes something's wrong. She quietly approaches him from behind. Tae-soo, focused on his phone, gets scared and breaks into a cold sweat. His strange reaction makes her more certain he's hiding something. That night, she secretly takes his phone while he sleeps. she finds shocking proof: flight records showing Tae-soo traveled with a woman named Sekyung on the same day their daughter died. She remembers this name. Sekyung had worked closely with Tae-soo before. When she once asked about this beautiful woman's character, Tae-soo's extreme reaction seemed suspicious. At the time, she thought she was just being paranoid, so she didn't pursue it. As she keeps checking his messages, a new text suddenly arrives. "See you at our usual place tomorrow." Early next morning, Tae-soo sneaks out and takes a taxi. His wife follows him secretly. She sees Tae-soo enjoying a sweet date with his lover, Sekyung. When Tae-soo mentions their daughter's accidental death, Sekyung's smile instantly disappears. Instead of comforting him, she scolds him, saying, "Don't ruin the mood with such depressing talk." Tae-soo forces a smile to hide his embarrassment. His wife, overhearing their conversation, crushes her wine glass in anger. She remembers that on the day their daughter died, Tae-soo was out with Sekyung, leaving their daughter alone at home. Not only does he feel no guilt, but he also blames her for their daughter's death. Heartbroken, she returns to their broken home, hugging their daughter's favorite toy and screaming her name in agony. Overwhelmed with grief, she faints and only wakes up to the sound of thunder. She finds Tae-soo's lighter by the bed and realizes why he gets so defensive whenever she questions the fire incident. He was the one who lit the scented candle. She vows to take revenge on him. She won't let their daughter die in vain. But the next day, Tae-soo asks for a divorce. His reason is beyond cruel. He refuses to live with the person who killed their child. He expects her to fight back, but she calmly agrees. As Tae-soo leaves, feeling smug, he runs into his successful boss, Han-sung. Han-sung mentions a foolproof investment opportunity. Tae-soo eagerly wants in for quick money. Han-sung hands him a business card and rushes off to meet someone important. That someone turns out to be Tae-soo's ex-wife. The two are plotting revenge against him. Soon, Tae-soo falls into their trap. Han-sung cleverly convinces him to invest all his savings in the project. Tae-soo dreams of turning his life around and living lavishly. That night, he calls his ex-wife, shamelessly discussing divorce settlements. He hints that she should leave with nothing. He won't even give her the compensation money. When she claims half the house is hers, Tae-soo loses his temper. He accuses her of being greedy. "She never earned a penny. The house is mine," he yells. "The down payment for the house was paid by my mother before our marriage. I've been paying the mortgage with my own money. The house has nothing to do with you. How dare you ask for property after killing our child?" He tells his wife to meet him at the Civil Affairs office tomorrow. His words completely break her heart. Tae-soo wears a victorious smile. The next day, they finalize their divorce smoothly. Tae-soo advises his ex-wife to find a job quickly. Pretending to care, he acts like they can still be friends. Actually, he's afraid she might depend on him if she struggles. Then, his ex-wife shows him their daughter's drawing. It says, "To my favorite daddy." Tae-soo's face twitches nervously. He keeps telling himself their daughter's death wasn't his fault. It happened because his wife visited her parents. Meanwhile, Eun-hyang takes her first step toward revenge. Tae-soo dreams of getting rich, but reality hits him hard at work. Colleagues say their boss ran off with company money. He calls to check but gets no answer. Worried, he rushes to the office. His boss is actually meeting with Eun-hyang. The boss gives all Tae-soo's savings to her. She wonders why he'd do this. Tae-soo works at a TV station. His fake news report once got the boss's friend killed. They're birds of a feather. Meanwhile, Tae-soo bangs on his boss's office glass, screaming desperately. But the revenge has only just begun. A 5-year-old autistic boy needs help. Eun-hyang buys a fake psychology degree for $2. She poses as a therapist to treat him. She wants revenge for her dead daughter. As a therapist, she enters Sekyung's home as a tutor. This is her first revenge move. Unexpectedly, she meets ex-husband Tae-soo here. He boldly comes to Sekyung's doorstep and takes her away. Seeing them laugh together in the car, Eun-hyang can't hold back her tears. She'll make them feel the same pain. She sends people to gather evidence. She's preparing a special gift. The next day, Sekyung receives an anonymous letter at work. After reading it, she's stunned into silence. There are no secrets that last forever. It was mailed to her home along with a gift for the child. She doesn't know what to do. Panicked, she tells the driver to take her home immediately. In the car, she calls her family for help, but the person who answers is Eun-hyang. From her voice, Sekyung senses fear and tension. Sekyung asks, "Did a package arrive at home?" Eun-hyang says, "The child's father just took it upstairs." Sekyung begs, "Don't let him open it. I'm almost home. Please stop him." Eun-hyang hangs up after hearing this. Sekyung keeps urging the driver to go faster. Meanwhile, Eun-hyang watches as Han-sung and the boy open the package. She doesn't stop them like Sekyung asked. When they take out the toy from the box, a white letter is hidden underneath. Eun-hyang picks up the envelope. For a moment, she hesitates. She doesn't want to hurt Hansung or his son. She lies. This is just a toy manual. As Hansung reaches for it, Sekyung rushes in, out of breath. Terrified the truth will come out, she breaks into a cold sweat. Eun-hyang slowly smiles in a strange way. To gain her trust, she hands the photos to Sekyung and promises to keep quiet. Sekyung stays silent, afraid of being blackmailed. To find out who's behind this, she calls Tae-soo to discuss a plan. Since Tae-soo has made many enemies, almost everyone around him is suspicious. Sekyung calms down and narrows it down. She asks, "What about your ex-wife?" Tae-soo insists, "No way." He knows Eun-hyang's personality, timid and cautious. "It can't be her," Sekyung argues. "After how harshly you divorced her, maybe she's not the same person anymore." Tae-soo falls silent, deep in thought. Could Eun-hyang really be doing this? At that moment, Eun-hyang is bathing Sekyung's son. When she tries to remove his scarf, the autistic boy suddenly pushes her down. Hansung runs in after hearing the noise. He scolds his son loudly. Eun-hyang quickly steps in to calm them. She hugs the boy and whispers comforting words in his ear. The child feels a mother's warmth from her for the first time in years. His outburst slowly calms down. Seeing how kind and caring Eun-hyang is, so different from his cold wife, Hansung starts to like her. After settling his son, Hansung politely helps Eun-hyang treat her wound. As they move closer, the mood between them changes. At the key moment, they both stop themselves. In the living room, Sekyung takes some money from her bag and gives it to Eun-hyang as payment for keeping her secret. Just then, Eun-hyang's phone rings. It's a call from her ex-husband, Tae-soo. Seeing she's busy, Sekyung leaves first. Tae-soo asks, "Long time no see. How have you been?" Eun-hyang knows he's testing her. Tae-soo's glass is full of saliva. His eyes lock onto the graceful woman who was once his wife. This shocks Tae-soo. He can't stand seeing her do better than him. Gone is the plain housewife. Now she's elegant and charming. Raising his voice, he brings up their daughter's death. "How dare you live so shamelessly? I thought you'd be suffering for your sins, but here you are, all dressed up. It makes no sense. Just breathing is a crime for someone like you." Eun-hyang doesn't respond. She knows Tae-soo only met her about the photos. She picks up her phone, pretending to be busy. This makes Tae-soo less suspicious. Later, he tells Sekyung, "My ex-wife seems happy and probably isn't behind the photos." This confuses Sekyung even more. She tells Tae-soo to stay away for now. Everyone is a suspect. Tae-soo thinks this is their chance to go public and be together openly. Sekyung finds his idea ridiculous. "Divorce is never an option for me." Now Tae-soo understands. He's just a tool for Sekyung's schemes. Sekyung secretly thinks he's useless but needs him for her rising career. So she charms him into obedience. Their tension eases. At home, Hansung tries to get close to Sekyung, but she casually pushes him away. She has even less patience with her son than with her husband. She dislikes her son because his autism embarrasses her. Every time her son tries to get close, she avoids him. Hansung is furious at Sekyung, who seems cold and distant. Their son developed autism because he lacked a mother's love. Sekyung acts very hurt. She thinks she's already sacrificed enough for the family. Her husband is deeply disappointed by her excuses. Eun-hyang watches them and is happy to see their marriage falling apart. One day, Tae-soo boldly visits Sekyung's house, pretending it's for an interview. Sekyung, unaware of his plan, looks nervous. Her husband notices her strange behavior. Tae-soo even shamelessly winks at Sekyung, ignoring everyone else. After the interview, Sekyung's father invites Tae-soo to stay as a guest. Tae-soo sneaks into Sekyung's room, pretending to look around. After hours apart, he can't control his excitement. Just as Tae-soo goes too far, a child's voice calls from outside the room. Sekyung nervously checks what's happening. Her son is throwing a tantrum, demanding to play with scissors. Eun-hyang stops him because it's too dangerous. Curious, Tae-soo walks over. When Eun-hyang turns and sees Tae-soo, she's terrified. As his hand reaches for the door, Hansung stops him. Tae-soo doesn't see Eun-hyang. Sekyung's father invites Tae-soo to talk in the living room. Eun-hyang can't believe it. She's shocked Tae-soo would dare visit Sekyung's home so boldly. She wants to tear both of them apart right there. Seeing the carefully chosen gift Tae-soo brought for Sekyung's son, she remembers her daughter's tragedy. Her heart feels stabbed by 1,000 knives. Her daughter never received gifts from her father. to destroy Sekyung and Tae-soo completely. Eun-hyang waits until Sekyung is drunk, then secretly takes her keys from her purse. She sneaks into their home and installs a hidden camera in the living room light. After succeeding, she puts the keys back on the sofa. No one notices a thing. She watches their every move through her phone. One day, Sekyung finds a hair tie under her pillow. A woman's intuition tells her something's wrong. She confronts Han-sung about it. Nervously, he says, "I don't know. Maybe the housekeeper dropped it while cleaning." Sekyung doesn't ask more questions. A hair tie can't really prove anything. After all, not all men are like Tae-soo, but Han-sung actually knows whose hair tie it is. Earlier, Eun-hyang suddenly fainted because she looked pale. In a hurry, Han-sung helped her to his bed. He takes good care of her, his eyes showing kindness. Since their son got better with Eun-hyang's therapy, he feels like he's found a mother's love from her. He's very grateful and admires her. Sekyung finds a gift from Tae-soo in her bag. She's afraid Han-sung will see it, so she throws the ring in the trash. Maybe fate wants to help Eun-hyang, because she finds the ring by accident. This becomes her perfect weapon for revenge. A few days later, Sekyung meets Eun-hyang on her way to work. As they pass each other, she smells something familiar. Eun-hyang's perfume matches the hair tie's scent. She shows Eun-hyang the hair tie and demands answers. Eun-hyang says, "Yes, I've been looking for this." She admits it easily and asks where Sekyung found it. Sekyung says, "In the bathroom." Eun-hyang replies, "Oh, thank you." Eun-hyang seems innocent and harmless, and Han-sung is too honest to cheat. Sekyung thinks she's just being paranoid, but she has no idea. Eun-hyang left the hair tie on purpose. She watches Sekyung and Tae-soo through cameras every day. Her desire for revenge grows stronger. Sekyung can't focus at work. To clear her doubts, she calls Eun-hyang. She asks her to decorate the room romantically for a special night with Han-sung. "Can you help?" On the other end, Eun-hyang smiles secretly, planning her revenge. Eun-hyang doesn't disappoint. She prepares a sexy nightgown and rose petals. She plans every detail carefully, even adding a special surprise. She can't wait for the show. When Sekyung sees the romantic room, she stops doubting Eun-hyang. She imagines a passionate night with Han-sung, but she doesn't expect her husband to still be missing past midnight. She calls Han-sung countless times, but no one answers. The housekeeper tells her Han-sung left hours ago. Eun-hyang ruins Sekyung's plan. She leads Han-sung to find the ring by phone, then gets drunk on purpose to seek his comfort. Han-sung rushes to her in panic. Eun-hyang confesses her hidden secret to him. "Do you know how my daughter died? My husband caused her death. He lost his mind vacationing with another woman, left our child alone at home, in our burning house. Because of my husband, because of that woman he dated, my daughter died." Han-sung's heart breaks, seeing her cry in agony. They seem to share similar fates. Late at night, they fall asleep in the car. Eun-hyang hangs up all calls from Sekyung. They sleep in the car until morning, while Sekyung waits alone all night, her husband's first night away since marriage. Han-sung wonders many things. Who sent this "I love Sekyung" ring? Who could it be? After Eun-hyang's divorce, she learns by chance about a little girl who needs a kidney transplant to survive. She can't bear the thought of another mother losing a child like she did. Since she meets the donation requirements, she anonymously gives one of her kidneys to the girl. Later, Eun-hyang discovers the girl she saved is Chairman Kim's daughter. Though she desperately wants his help to avenge her own daughter's death, she doesn't use her donation as leverage. Instead, for 5 months, she waits outside Chairman Kim's house every night. Her sincerity finally earns her a meeting with him. She then offers the only keepsake left by her daughter as collateral for a loan. "This is my guarantee," Chairman Kim asks. "What is this?" she replies. "It's the last thing my daughter left before she died a year ago. I swear on my daughter's name, I will repay every penny." Chairman Kim asks, "This handkerchief is your guarantee? How can I trust you?" She says, "My daughter meant more to me than my own life. I need this money to make my daughter's killer pay. This isn't for my own gain. I swear it." Chairman Kim says, "So you want my money to spill blood? This is outrageous. Show her out." When Chairman Kim hears she wants the money for revenge, he refuses without hesitation. He orders her to leave. Just then, Eun-hyang lifts her shirt in desperation, revealing a 20-centimeter scar on her waist. She tells Chairman Kim, "This is proof I gave your daughter my kidney." Chairman Kim is stunned. He never imagined the person he'd searched for was standing right before him. After hearing her tragic story, he decides on the spot to help her with all his resources. Eun-hyang begs Chairman Kim for help. Her only life goal now is to ruin Tae-soo completely. Hearing her tragic story, Chairman Kim adopts her as his goddaughter and throws her a grand party, inviting all important business people. The perfect-looking party is just step one of Eun Hyang's revenge. Her sleazy ex, Tae-soo, takes the bait. He instantly recognizes the woman at the piano as his dull ex-wife. Tae-soo is shocked. He never expected his boring housewife ex could now play piano so elegantly, even becoming Chairman Kim's goddaughter. He publicly demands answers, asking why she's at this fancy event. Eun Hyang turns away in disgust. Meanwhile, Tae-soo's friend, who came with him, rushes over and showers Eun Hyang with compliments. He wants to get close to her to secure Chairman Kim's sponsorship, but Tae-soo still looks down on her. To protect his pride, he interrupts their conversation. He warns Eun Hyang, "Stop pretending to be some rich socialite," and drags her away from this place that's not for her. But now, Eun Hyang is way out of his league. Her bodyguards immediately kick Tae-soo out. Tae-soo is boiling with anger. "Damn it, whatever! Who needs Chairman Kim's investment anyway? There are other places to get funding," his colleague says. "Even small companies borrow from Chairman Kim. No matter what, you need to beg your ex-wife for money," Tae-soo snaps. "She's just Chairman Kim's errand girl at best. Forget it, let's go." Tae-soo doesn't know Eun Hyang used her influence. She secretly ordered all investors to cut off Tae-soo's funding. Soon, Tae-soo has to swallow his pride and beg Eun Hyang. To get the investment, he plays the dead daughter card. He kneels pathetically, crying, "Our daughter in heaven wouldn't want to see me suffer. I'll never mention you causing her death again," Tae-soo promises. Though Eun Hyang hates this man deeply, to ensure Tae-soo never recovers, she lies that she'll consider his investment request. Tae-soo grins. "I knew you'd come through, honey. We'll never be complete strangers. Just throw me a lifeline, okay? Please, sweetheart." His fake sweetness makes Eun Hyang sick. She plans to use this opportunity and coldly says, "Fine." The moment she turns away, Tae-soo's face changes. "God, you're disgusting, Eun Hyang," he mutters. "Who does she think she is? I'll endure this just once. Once I get the money, I'm done with her forever." Meanwhile, Sekyung has been anxious since Hansung stayed out all night, claiming to attend a funeral. The next day, Tae-soo shows her photos. Just a woman's back view, not proof, but it makes her question her husband's alibi. Her gut says something's wrong. Tae-soo helpfully gives her an address. Following his directions, Sekyung arrives at a riverside. There, she sees Hansung tying a woman's shoelaces. And this woman looks familiar. It's Eun Hyang, their son's counselor. Sekyung has bad eyesight and can't see clearly. She only sees a blurry figure of a woman. Eun Hyang turns and sees Sekyung. She panics. She's afraid her secret will be exposed. This could ruin her plans. She lies and says she needs the bathroom, gives Hansung his jacket back, and rushes off. She walks faster and faster. Sekyung chases her to learn the truth. They reach an old factory. Eun Hyang hides on the second floor. Her nervous breathing gives her away. Sekyung is about to find her. With no escape, Eun Hyang jumps from the second floor. A metal pipe stabs her. Holding her stomach, she runs away in pain. When Sekyung comes down, Eun Hyang is already gone. Only a bloody pipe remains, and a trail of blood. Sekyung remembers that familiar figure. The body shape and clothes look like Eun Hyang's. She calls Eun Hyang to check. In pain, Eun Hyang answers calmly. She lies, saying she's home after work. Sekyung says their son is sick and orders Eun Hyang to come in 30 minutes. To avoid suspicion, Eun Hyang agrees despite the pain. Sekyung waits to learn the truth. But this is a remote area. No taxis pass by here. Eun Hyang stops a truck and offers money for a ride. The driver agrees to take her back. She reaches home, hides her wand with her bag from the maid, and in the bathroom, she bandages it and takes painkillers. She hides the bloody clothes in a toy box. In her rush, toys spill everywhere. The noise catches Sekyung's attention. Sekyung tries to look, but Eun Hyang blocks her. Sekyung asks, "Is there something I can't see?" Eun Hyang says, "No, it's not like that." At that moment, their son wakes up. He protects Eun Hyang and throws toys to push his mom out. The lonely boy cares more for Eun Hyang than his own mom. Eun Hyang escapes trouble this time, but Sekyung still doesn't trust her. Late at night, Sekyung sneaks into the room to check the toy box. But after searching everywhere, she can't find any bloody clothes. Eun Hyang expected this would happen. She already hid the clothes somewhere else. The sharp pain from her wound keeps her awake. Blood keeps soaking through her clothes onto the blanket. She quickly takes the blanket to the bathtub to wash it, but Sekyung catches her while going to the bathroom at night. Sekyung asks, "What are you doing so late?" Eun Hyang says, "The child wet the bed. I'm washing it." Sekyung replies, "You should let the maid handle this. Why would a teacher do it herself?" Eun Hyang explains, "He's at that sensitive age now. We must be careful. If the maid finds out, he'll feel ashamed. Please pretend you didn't notice either. Once again, Eun Hyang narrowly avoids trouble, but Se-kyung still doesn't trust her. Early next morning, she sends Eun Hyang swimming with her son. Eun Hyang covers her wound with layers of bandages. Se-kyung secretly watches her every move. Seeing Eun Hyang play happily in the water with the boy, Se-kyung thinks she must be wrong about her. No one could heal such a wound in just 30 minutes, and no one could act so calm with such a bad injury. She underestimates a mother's will for revenge. Compared to losing her daughter, this pain means nothing. When Eun Hyang returns home exhausted, she finally collapses from blood loss. Meanwhile, Tae-soo plans a hotel celebration for their 3-year anniversary with Se-kyung. Eun Hyang knows all about their plans. She won't miss this perfect revenge chance. That same day, she takes the boy to the hotel restaurant. She forgets her wallet and asks Han Sung for help. Checking her watch, she times everything perfectly. Just as the three finish paying and prepare to leave, Se-kyung, supposedly away on business, appears. She walks confidently through the hotel lobby. Eun Hyang acts shocked and tells Han Sung to look. Han Sung is stunned when he sees her. He nervously runs after her. Back in the room, as Tae-soo and Se-kyung light candles for their song, the doorbell suddenly rings. Tae-soo thinks it's room service with champagne. He gets up to answer. Just as Tae-soo reaches for the doorknob, Se-kyung's phone rings urgently. It's Eun Hyang calling for revenge. She warns Se-kyung. Han Sung is outside. Hide quickly! She quickly covers Tae-soo's mouth in panic, telling him to hide himself. When Se-kyung opens the door, Tae-soo has already disappeared. Only the candlelit cake remains. Se-kyung's nervousness makes Han Sung more suspicious. He questions why she's here during her business trip. Se-kyung makes up a quick excuse, saying friends threw her a party for being sad but got stuck in traffic. Han Sung sees 2 wine glasses on the table. Her explanation sounds weak. He tries to stay calm to avoid overreacting. Han Sung searches every corner of the room but finds nothing suspicious. Se-kyung finally relaxes slightly. Meanwhile, Tae-soo hangs from the balcony edge, bare-bottomed and using all his strength to hold on. Without proof, Han Sung won't leave. He sits on the couch, insisting on meeting her friend first. This makes Se-kyung extremely anxious, because if this continues, Tae-soo on the balcony will surely die. She secretly texts Eun Hyang, begging her to distract Han Sung. To gain Se-kyung's trust, Eun Hyang pretends her child needs the bathroom, then calls Han Sung, lying that their son is missing. Han Sung leaves immediately for his son, rushing off to search. As he leaves, he steps on something hard. It's a man's shirt button. Se-kyung gasps in shock. Han Sung doesn't confront her but leaves angrily in silence. Tae-soo survives thanks to his ex-wife. Eun Hyang gets what she wanted, ruining their date and gaining Se-kyung's trust. Eun Hyang smiles for the first time in ages. That night, Se-kyung thanks Eun Hyang with drinks. They chat and laugh about life. Se-kyung admits her past doubts. I actually suspected you at first. Thought you were Han Sung's woman. Me? Eun Hyang asks. You're the closest to Han Sung, but now I know you're not. Eun Hyang sighs in relief, clearing all suspicion. Se-kyung now completely trusts Eun Hyang. Eun Hyang, let's be friends. Eun Hyang is shocked. She looks happy on the outside, but inside, she's planning her next move. Just then, Eun Hyang's phone rings. She quickly hangs up Han Sung's call, afraid Se-kyung will notice. She lies about a family emergency and leaves. Later, the two go to a bar. They drink all night without realizing it. The next day, they return home. Se-kyung finds photos from their relationship. She humbles herself and hugs Han Sung, begging for another chance. She promises to change, but Han Sung has no feelings left for her. Han Sung says, let's take time to think. Se-kyung warns, if you leave this room, we're really over. Think carefully, Han Sung. That day, Se-kyung is rushed to the hospital in terrible pain. The doctor says her condition is serious and asks for her family to sign papers. She calls her husband Han Sung, but his phone is off. She doesn't know he's taking their son to Eun Hyang's house. Eun Hyang hears Han Sung's phone ringing, sees Se-kyung's name, and hangs up. She turns off the phone. Desperate, Se-kyung calls Eun Hyang for help. Eun Hyang lies about an errand and rushes to the hospital. Seeing pale Se-kyung, she pretends to care. The doctor reveals shocking news. It's an ectopic pregnancy. Se-kyung panics. That's impossible. I can't be pregnant. Unless, Eun Hyang realizes the baby must be Tae-soo's. She tries to call Han Sung, but weak Se-kyung stops her, begging to keep it secret. Meanwhile, Han Sung returns home late and sees his phone was off. He finds messages about Se-kyung's hospitalization and rushes to the hospital. Se-kyung has already finished her surgery. She lies weakly on the hospital bed without moving. Eun-hyang remembers how her lovely daughter died in the fire, and the cruel words Se-kyung once said. She wants to strangle this evil woman right now. At that moment, Se-kyung wakes up. Eun-hyang wipes the tears from her eyes. She calms down and tells Se-kyung the surgery went well. If nothing goes wrong, you can leave the hospital tomorrow. But Se-kyung fears Han Sung might find her here. Despite her condition, she insists on leaving. She begs Eun-hyang to help her check out. Meanwhile, Han Sung arrives at the hospital. Se-kyung panics when she sees Han Sung. She quickly thinks of a plan and speaks first. She blames Han Sung for not answering her calls. She says work and marriage stress caused her stomach pain. Han Sung feels guilty for his mistake. Then Eun-hyang arrives with medicine and medical records. The meeting between the three feels awkward. Han Sung wonders why Eun-hyang is here. Eun-hyang quietly leaves after giving him the papers. Eun-hyang can't control her anger anymore. She thinks, stress-induced stomach pain? How can she lie so shamelessly? You evil woman! What punishment will finally stop you? Back at home, Se-kyung hugs Han Sung tightly. She wants him to stay, even if it's fake. But Han Sung pushes her away coldly. He leaves to prepare her medicine. In the kitchen, he gets warm water. He opens the medical records. They're from gynecology. This makes him doubt her stomach pain's story. As Han Sung returns with medicine, he overhears her talking to Eun-hyang. You won't tell Han Sung about today, right? Never mention my surgery to him. Han Sung shakes with anger. He wants to confront Se-kyung, but worries it might hurt their autistic son if their marriage falls apart. He holds back his anger and smashes a glass in the kitchen instead, to release his frustration. To cut off Tae-soo's company funds, Eun-hyang mentions a sure-profit project. Greedy Tae-soo gets very excited. He completely trusts Chairman Kim. Facing a huge 3 billion won project, he doesn't suspect anything. He quickly goes back to arrange the money. At home, he finds Se-kyung secretly changed his online banking password. Even his company license is replaced with blank paper. The payment deadline is approaching. He asks Eun-hyang for help again. Without the license, nothing can be done. Tae-soo feels very upset. Then Eun-hyang suggests a solution. She tells Tae-soo to mortgage his house. Tae-soo hesitates for a moment. Tempted by the profits, he agrees. He says, okay, let's do the mortgage. Eun-hyang acts reluctant. She says she's only helping because they were once married. Tae-soo thanks her quickly. Thank you, he says. Good thing you're here. Soon, they sign the investment contract. But all of this is a trap set by Chairman Kim and Eun-hyang. They plan to take all of Tae-soo and Se-kyung's money. They won't leave them any way out. The next day, Tae-soo goes to Se-kyung. He wants to discuss the investment money, but her home is a mess, and she's in no mood. She wants to cut ties with Tae-soo for good. She yells at him angrily. She tells him to get out of her sight. Don't come looking for me again. Tae-soo is confused by her outburst. He vents his frustration on a pillow. By accident, he knocks down a hidden camera from the ceiling light. He thinks Han Sung planted it. He believes Han Sung turns Se-kyung against him. Using a tracker he earlier placed on Han Sung's car, he sees Han Sung is at a hotel. Curious, he decides to check it out. Meanwhile, Han Sung is actually on a trip outside the city. Eun-hyang fell off her bike and got hurt. Han Sung takes her to a nearby hotel to rest. He gets her clothes cleaned and treats her wounds. Tae-soo sees Han Sung carrying a woman's shirt into the hotel. He takes a photo and sends the location to Se-kyung. Then he asks the front desk for Han Sung's room number. He books a room next to theirs to spy. Tae-soo can't wait to see what happens next. Se-kyung rushes to the hotel room Tae-soo booked. Just as they go to catch Han Sung in the act, when they open the door, they get scared. It's Han Sung who's been waiting for them. Han Sung asks, "Is this Tae-soo, the man you've been seeing?" Tae-soo looks shocked. He quickly runs into the next room, looking for the woman, but the room is empty. Se-kyung completely breaks down. She thinks Tae-soo set this up to ruin her relationship with Han Sung. Eun-hyang appears from her hiding spot. Just minutes earlier, Eun-hyang went downstairs for fresh air. She saw Se-kyung angrily entering the hotel. She warned Han Sung in the room, so they weren't caught. Now Tae-soo is exposed as the other man. That night, when Han Sung comes home, he asks Se-kyung for a divorce. But her pride won't let her agree. Se-kyung says, "I can't do it. Didn't I say divorce isn't in my life? I'll never let go of you or the company." Later, Se-kyung sees her husband at movies with a young woman. She angrily confronts the girl. "How old are you? Shame on you for chasing a married man. Is this her? You like little girls now? You'd leave me for someone like this?" Han Sung tries to explain and stop her, but she won't listen. She pulls the girl's hair harder. The girl's boyfriend stops the fight. Se-kyung realizes in embarrassment she attacked the wrong person. Everyone laughs at them. Han Sung feels completely humiliated. He walks out of the theater sadly. Staff forcefully remove Se-kyung. The once glamorous rich girl now looks completely pathetic. This was all Eun-hyang's plan. She arranged to meet Han Sung for movies, then called Se-kyung, lying that Han Sung was on a date, telling her to come quickly. Eun-hyang timed it perfectly, left pretending to use the bathroom. The girl sitting near Han Sung was unlucky. Eun-hyang pretends to comfort Se-kyung. She still believes Eun-hyang is her best friend. She cries loudly in Eun-hyang's arms. Later, Se-kyung completely trusts Eun-hyang. Because of family problems, she transfers her company's shares to Eun-hyang's name. She asks her to keep them safe for now. Se-kyung says, "You're the only person I can trust now. I can't trust my husband or my family anymore. Please, Eun-hyang." Eun-hyang hesitantly accepts this big favor. Then, Eun-hyang shows Se-kyung a photo of her late daughter. She talks about how her daughter died tragically. Se-kyung gets very angry and defends Eun-hyang, saying, "Your husband is trash. Shouldn't that guy be punished? He has a kind and beautiful wife like you, but he still cheats with other women. If I ever see that woman, tearing her apart won't even be enough." She doesn't know that woman is actually herself. They toast to their friendship. But Eun-hyang is planning her next move to ruin her best friend, Se-kyung. Days later, Se-kyung gets an anonymous text. "I'm with Han Sung at a hotel." She gets furious after reading it. She swears to catch this mystery woman. She storms into the hotel. Meanwhile, Eun-hyang is getting ready inside. She puts on a sexy nightgown to meet Se-kyung. She's ready to declare war. Se-kyung bursts into the room, yelling, "Where is she?" Then, Eun-hyang appears in the sexy nightgown. Se-kyung is shocked. She never expected the woman tormenting her would be her trusted friend, Eun-hyang. Se-kyung loses control. She rushes at Eun-hyang, wanting to kill her, but Han Sung stops her. Han Sung drags Se-kyung out of the hotel. In the car, she can't understand why Eun-hyang would do this to her. Then, she remembers how Eun-hyang's daughter died. It's very similar to Tae-soo's daughter's death. Panicked, she gets out of the car. She needs to check if her guess is right. Se-kyung arrives at the memorial hall. Her eyes search for the photo in her memory. Then, she freezes. She sees the little girl's funeral photo and her last name. She recognizes it, the same photo Eun-hyang showed her days ago. Now, she understands the whole story. Terrified, she tries to leave, but Eun-hyang stops her. Eun-hyang knew Se-kyung would come to check her identity, so she waited here for her. Eun-hyang grabs her arm wildly and shouts, "Kneel and apologize to my daughter now." Se-kyung says, "Your husband is the criminal, not me. I'm innocent." Se-kyung breaks free with all her strength and runs away. But Eun-hyang, full of hate, won't let her go. She chases Se-kyung and pushes her against the railing. Her hands tighten around Se-kyung's neck. Se-kyung gasps, "I can't die. I did nothing wrong." Back at home, Se-kyung tells Han Sung that Eun-hyang is Tae-soo's ex-wife. She only got close to him for revenge, but Han Sung truly loves her. He says, "I love her." Se-kyung throws down his suitcase and kicks the traitor, Han Sung, out. Han Sung begs to keep their son, but she locks the boy in his room. Meanwhile, Tae-soo wants more money. He steals all the funds from his and Se-kyung's company. He even pawns his ring and watch, anything valuable. After emptying everything, he blindly signs Chairman Kim's real estate contract. Eun-hyang watches with a strange look. He doesn't know the contract is fake. Tae-soo still dreams of getting rich. Then, Se-kyung calls and wakes him up. She tries to tell him the truth about Eun-hyang, but it's too late. Tae-soo finds his house empty, only photos on the walls and burning incense. Suddenly, his daughter's video plays on the computer. He's scared to death. A flaming teddy bear lands in front of him. As panic takes over, Eun-hyang appears with the same lighter from the fire years ago. She stands before him. Even with her proof, Tae-soo still believes his daughter's death has nothing to do with him, and keeps blaming Eun-hyang for everything. Angry, she takes out a bottle of poison from her bag, demanding Tae-soo take it in front of their daughter to atone with his life. He picks up the bottle but spills the poison on the floor, yelling at Eun-hyang, calling her crazy for wanting him dead, then storms out in anger. Eun-hyang is furious, grinding her teeth in rage. She immediately calls Chairman Kim, telling him to proceed with their plan. Tae-soo rushes to the building where he signed contracts that morning, only to be thrown out by security guards. He calls the project manager, but the number is no longer in service. He's going crazy with worry. To confirm his suspicions, he checks online who bought the building and finds it's not him. He realizes it's all Eun-hyang's revenge plan. When he calls to confront her, her phone is unreachable. Filled with rage, Tae-soo can't sleep all night. When he finally falls asleep on the floor, a group of tough men break in. Since Tae-soo used his house as collateral for the investment, they demand payment and tie him up. Broke and desperate, Tae-soo barely escapes their grasp. Chairman Kim gives Eun-hyang good news. Tae-soo signed contracts with an illegal investment website. Even if he reports to police, he'll go to prison for years. Eun-hyang's revenge against Tae-soo is complete. Now she turns to Se-kyung. This is their first face-to-face confrontation. She transfers all the company's shares Se-kyung entrusted to her into her own name. Then Eun-hyang threatens Se-kyung with the shares, demanding she hold a press conference to publicly confess her crimes and apologize to Eun-hyang's dead daughter, or she'll never get her company's shares back. Se-kyung fights back cruelly. Knowing Eun-hyang truly cares for Han-sung and his son, she sends the boy to a mental hospital, then threatens Han-sung. If he wants to see his son again, he must cut all ties with Eun-hyang. Heartbroken, Han-sung is torn with pain. In desperation, he finds Eun-hyang. He kneels and begs her to forgive Se-kyung, pleading, "Our adult conflicts shouldn't hurt the next generation. I can't bear to see my autistic son suffer." Eun-hyang feels very confused inside. She says, "I have nothing to say except sorry." Han-sung can only reply, "If anything happens to our son, I will never forgive you, Eun-hyang." Meanwhile, her ex-husband Tae-soo gets the punishment he deserves. Broke and homeless, he survives by eating other people's leftovers. Everyone hates him like a rat on the street. In his despair, he calls ex-wife Eun-hyang for help but finds himself blocked. For revenge, he sneaks into the hospital and threatens Eun-hyang using her sick mother. Worried about her mom, Eun-hyang rushes to the hospital, but she's too late. Tae-soo has already taken her bedridden mother. He even steals all valuables from the cabinets. She calls to warn Tae-soo, "Don't do anything stupid. If I call the police, you'll spend the rest of your life in jail." Tae-soo isn't scared. He ties Eun-hyang's weak mother to a chair, threatening that if Eun-hyang doesn't want to see a dead body, she must bring the money and house deed he was cheated out of. Before she can answer, Tae-soo hangs up. He wants Eun-hyang to feel the same pain. Eun-hyang fears her mother might die any moment. She has no choice but to obey. She asks Chairman Kim to bring cash and the deed. She secretly puts a tracker in the case, doubting Tae-soo will keep his word, and she's right. Tae-soo sends a delivery guy to collect the money. The money's taken, but her mother's whereabouts remain unknown. Using the tracker, she finds the hotel location, successfully rescues her mother, and safely puts her in a car. Meanwhile, Tae-soo changes clothes and takes the money to party with girls, celebrating his new life. A sexy woman enters and offers to drink with him. He agrees with a lecherous smile. She accidentally spills wine on his clothes. As Tae-soo wipes his wet clothes, the woman throws the case out. Eun-hyang suddenly appears and grabs it. Before Tae-soo can react, she runs out the door. The woman was working with Eun-hyang. They escape with the case. Tae-soo chases them, half naked. Since he didn't pay the bar bill, the staff drags him back inside. Tae-soo begs Se-kyung to come help him. Remembering their past, Se-kyung rushes over. She blames Tae-soo for everything. His ex-wife took his company, and his home life is a mess. Seeing Se-kyung's anger, Tae-soo looks hurt and asks, "Don't you love me?" This disgusts Se-kyung. She takes money from her bag and throws it in Tae-soo's face. She tells him, "Disappear from my life forever." Tae-soo bows and thanks her. "Thank you so much." Se-kyung just feels sick. Soon, it's the day of the press conference. Se-kyung thinks Han-sung has convinced Eun-hyang. She gives a confident speech on stage, but she never mentions her own crimes. Eun-hyang knew Se-kyung wouldn't admit her mistakes. With a friend's help, she sneaks into Se-kyung's company broadcast room. She plays a video of her late daughter. Then, in front of all the media, she exposes Se-kyung's affair with Tae-soo. Se-kyung makes an excuse and leaves the meeting. She rushes to stop Eun-hyang, but Eun-hyang's friend locks her inside the broadcast room. Meanwhile, Eun-hyang goes straight to Se-kyung's father. She reveals Se-kyung's true nature to him. The chairman is so shocked his eyes nearly pop out. Eun-hyang deliberately calls Se-kyung so she can hear their conversation. Se-kyung can only scream in frustration inside the locked room. The chairman is horrified by Eun-hyang's story. He can't believe his perfect daughter could do such shameful things. Eun-hyang admits she purposely got close to Han-sung for revenge. This makes the chairman furious. He says she shouldn't have broken up a family. Eun-hyang replies, "Look at who your daughter really is." She says she understands how he feels. Parents always protect their children first. The chairman has no answer. He even feels ashamed. Meanwhile, Se-kyung escapes and runs to her father's office. She claims Eun-hyang's story is all lies, but Eun-hyang is ready. She takes out a photo of Se-kyung and Tae-soo in a car and puts it on the desk. When the chairman sees this, his blood pressure spikes immediately. He almost faints from anger. Looking at his proud daughter, he can't believe she would do such shameful things. Ignoring their father-daughter bond, he fires Se-kyung from her manager position on the spot. Then he bows to Eun-hyang and apologizes. "I'm sorry I failed to raise my daughter properly." Eun-hyang has waited too long for this apology. All her bottled-up emotions burst out as she cries. But Se-kyung shows no remorse. For revenge, she sends men to kidnap Eun-hyang. They lock her in a remote warehouse. Others break into Eun-hyang's home, searching for stock transfer papers. Se-kyung then appears with stolen documents. Eun-hyang struggles against the ropes, demanding freedom. Se-kyung slaps her, mocking her for messing with the wrong person. She forces Eun-hyang to sign the stock transfer. "Sign or starve to death here." Meanwhile, Han Sung can't reach Eun-hyang. He suspects Se-kyung's involvement. He confronts her at the office. Se-kyung pretends ignorance. She even offers to call the police. But Han Sung notices her nervous eyes. He's sure she's hiding something. Pretending to leave, he overhears her phone call. "Add more guards at the logistics center. Don't give Eun-hyang even one drop of water. Seal all vents completely. Let her wither and die." Han Sung eavesdrops outside the door. Logistics center. He rushes to the location. He finds Eun-hyang barely conscious. He quickly unties her ropes. The noise alerts the guards. A fight breaks out. Han Sung gets overpowered. Eun-hyang breaks free and hurls a chair at the attackers. She saves the fallen Han Sung. They risk their lives protecting each other. In mortal danger, they embrace tightly. Se-kyung arrives and sees this. Enraged, she floors the accelerator, determined to run them over. At the last moment, Han Sung shields Eun-hyang with his body. The car gets closer, but Han Sung doesn't move an inch. At the last moment, Se-kyung hesitates and swerves the wheel hard. The car crashes into a pile of goods nearby. Se-kyung is dazed from the impact. Through blurry vision, she sees Han Sung helping Eun-hyang escape in a hurry. Her heart completely shatters. The man she's spent half her life with doesn't even glance at her. She decides to cut all ties with Han Sung. After running out of money, Tae-soo shamelessly blackmails Se-kyung's father. He threatens to leak his intimate photos with Se-kyung unless he gets paid. Furious, the chairman punches him twice. Tae-soo yells, "You dare hit me, chairman?" The chairman won't let a scoundrel win, but worries the scandal could hurt the company's stock. In the end, he pays Tae-soo off to protect the bigger picture. As Tae-soo daydreams about spending the money, his creditors snatch it from him. He runs away in panic. Meanwhile, Se-kyung visits her autistic son at the hospital. The boy becomes hysterical when he sees his mother. Embarrassed by his outburst, she coldly tells the nurse to sedate him more. She wants to keep him under her control. Eun-hyang and Han Sung, barely escaping death, constantly worry about the boy's condition. To free themselves from Se-kyung's torment, they hatch a bold plan to take the boy and move abroad together. Han Sung secretly tracks down the boy's location and successfully rescues him. They pack their bags and rush to the airport, but Tae-soo, now homeless, spots them. Only now does Tae-soo realize Eun-hyang and Han Sung are together. The three look like a happy family. Furious, he calls Se-kyung to report what he saw. She tries to hang up impatiently, but Tae-soo shouts, "Wait, are they really starting a new family? They look so warm together." Se-kyung snaps, "What?" Tae-soo adds, "Your son even looks like Eun-hyang's child." Se-kyung demands, "Where did you see my son?" Tae-soo smirks, "Curious? Pay me first. Nothing's free. We're strangers now. Business only. Everything has a price." In desperation, Se-kyung agrees to all of Tae-soo's demands. At the airport, the three of them hope to start a happy life abroad. Just as they're about to enter the boarding gate, several police officers stop them. Se-kyung arrives too. The son pushes away his real mother, Se-kyung, and refuses to leave Eun-hyang's side. She orders her assistant to take her son away by force, then angrily slaps Eun-hyang. "You evil woman! How dare you steal what's mine?" The police were actually called by Se-kyung. She reported Eun-hyang for kidnapping her son. Han Sung gets arrested for leaking company secrets. Both are taken away by the police. Se-kyung trembles with anger. She wants back what belongs to her. Even if she doesn't want it, she won't let others have it. Later at the police station, Se-kyung threatens Eun-hyang with her husband's embezzlement, saying she'll make them spend their lives in prison. Eun-hyang understands Se-kyung's goal. She doesn't want innocent Han Sung to suffer. In desperation, she gives in. What will it take to let Han Sung go? Se-kyung then makes her demands. First, she wants Eun-hyang to return the 60 billion won she took from Tae-soo. Eun-hyang says, "Fine, I'll return it now. Just release Han Sung immediately." Seeing Eun-hyang agree so easily, she then demands she confess to the chairman that she made up the whole story. Finally, she must stay away from Han Sung forever. They can never meet again, even in death. Though extremely unwilling, Eun-hyang can't bear to see Han-sung's life ruined, so she silently agrees. Se-kyung then threatens Han-sung the same way, demanding he hand over the company's new product plans or she won't let Eun-hyang go. He knows Se-kyung will stop at nothing. In the end, Han-sung also agrees. When Han-sung gets out, he can't contact Eun-hyang no matter what. It's like she vanished. Angry, he confronts Se-kyung. She shows him prepared divorce papers, telling him to sign and never bother her again. Se-kyung says, "You're free now. I don't need you anymore." Se-kyung takes the stolen project proposal and goes to the chairman's office to show off her strong work skills. She's confident she can get her job back. Eun-hyang also keeps her promise and visits the chairman to apologize. She kneels down and admits the whole truth. The photos were fake, made to frame Se-kyung. She begs the chairman not to punish Se-kyung, but the chairman stays calm despite the sudden twist. After Eun-hyang leaves the office, Se-kyung feels proud of her perfect plan. But something unexpected is about to happen. The chairman says, "Did you think I was a fool?" Se-kyung replies, "Father, why don't you believe me? She already told the truth." The chairman pulls out photos of Se-kyung with Tae-soo from his drawer. He asks, "Are these fake too?" Se-kyung is too scared to speak. The chairman bought these photos from Tae-soo. Se-kyung breaks down completely. Her perfect life is ruined by Tae-soo. She secretly vows to make Tae-soo disappear forever. Se-kyung orders her men to kidnap him. They take him to a remote mountain and bury him alive. Tae-soo begs for mercy, but it's no use. Se-kyung and Han-sung finalize their divorce at the civil office. She uses their autistic son as a bargaining chip. Han-sung gives up all his money to get custody of his son. Father and son start a new life together. When Eun-hyang hears Han-sung and his son are free, she no longer worries about Han-sung being threatened. She goes back to the chairman's office and hands him an important file. It contains proof that Se-kyung and Tae-soo stole 60 billion from the company. The chairman is shocked. He never expected the daughter he raised with care to betray him like this. In anger, he gives the manager position to his middle school educated daughter-in-law. Se-kyung loses the job she worked 10 years to get. Now she has nothing left. Depressed, Se-kyung drinks alone at home. She passes out drunk on the sofa. Meanwhile, Tae-soo struggles with all his strength and escapes from the dirt pile. He survives and swears revenge on Se-kyung. That night, Tae-soo, covered up, goes to Se-kyung's house. He smashes the security camera and pours gasoline around the house. Tae-soo says, "You're the one who made me like this, so don't blame me." Thick smoke starts coming through the door. Their autistic son notices and wakes his mom, but she angrily sends him away. She threatens to send him to the hospital if he keeps bothering her. Scared, the boy hides in the bathroom. He nervously calls his teacher Eun-hyang for help. Meanwhile, Eun-hyang is on the rooftop about to jump. Her sick mother just passed away. With her last family member gone, she wants to end her life. Just as she steps forward to jump, Han-sung's son calls her in panic. He says, "I think our house is on fire. Smoke is coming in everywhere." She runs downstairs while calming the boy on the phone. Bright flames now fill the living room. The smoke wakes Se-kyung. Covering her nose, she runs outside. Firefighters are on their way, but illegally parked cars block them. They have to run the rest of the way. When they ask Se-kyung about the house, she suddenly remembers her son is still inside. She tries to run back in, but firefighters stop her. Neighbors whisper that she left her child while drunk. Eun-hyang arrives and sees Se-kyung alone outside. The phone call suddenly goes silent. In desperation, Eun-hyang breaks a window. She jumps into the flames to find the boy. After struggling through, she finds him unconscious. Even then, he worries about his selfish mother, saying, "Please save my mom." Eun-hyang carries him out, but a burning beam hits her back. When firefighters put out the flames, the boy is nowhere to be found. Se-kyung's assistant says it was arson. Gasoline containers were found outside. Se-kyung immediately suspects Tae-soo. She sends people to check on him, but Tae-soo pretends to still be buried and helpless. He acts pitiful and begs for mercy. Ruling out Tae-soo, she blames Eun-hyang, accusing her of setting the fire and kidnapping the boy. When Han-sung returns from his trip, he asks Se-kyung where their son is. Se-kyung looks upset and blames Eun-hyang for everything. Han-sung slaps her face. This is the first time Han-sung has ever hit a woman. He thinks she's just making excuses for being drunk. He says, "Why can't you admit your own mistakes? Why do you always blame Eun-hyang for everything? If anything happens to our son, I'll kill you." Only after being scolded does Se-kyung feel a little guilty, so she starts searching everywhere for the child. Finally, Se-kyung finds Eun-hyang. She begs her to tell where her son is. Eun-hyang pretends she knows nothing. She wants Se-kyung to feel the pain of losing a child, But Se-kyung doesn't give up. She waits outside Eun-hyang's house every day. One day, she faints from missing her child too much. Her persistence makes Eun-hyang soften for a moment. She brings the child to Se-kyung. Seeing her son again, Se-kyung cries tears of joy. When she recovers and tries to thank Eun-hyang, she finds that Eun-hyang has already left. But not long after, Se-kyung faces her punishment. She faints again and is taken to the hospital. Tests show her health is very bad. She has late-stage cancer and only 3 months to live. Leaving the hospital, she meets Eun-hyang. She sees that Eun-hyang burned her whole back saving her son. Eun-hyang is in terrible pain during her recovery. Se-kyung feels extremely guilty. That night, a drunk Se-kyung finds Eun-hyang. She tells her about her cancer. She wants to leave her son with Eun-hyang. She hopes Eun-hyang will treat him like her own child after she dies. When Eun-hyang learns about Se-kyung's illness, she loses her desire for revenge. Though Eun-hyang once wished Se-kyung would go to hell, this outcome is hard for her to accept. In her remaining time, Se-kyung tries to be a good mother. She cooks for her son for the first time. She sleeps beside him for the first time. She wants to leave good memories for him. In her final days, Se-kyung tries to bring Eun-hyang and Han-sung together. She arranges for them to watch a movie together. She holds their hands. She truly hopes they can live together happily. This is her final wish. And Tae-soo, that jerk, gets what he deserves. He goes to prison for starting fires on purpose. At the end of the story, Se-kyung and Eun-hyang become real best friends. The four of them play together in the park. Suddenly, Se-kyung feels very sleepy. She rests her head on Eun-hyang's lap. She falls asleep and never wakes up again. Eun-hyang says, "Sleep well, Se-kyung. You've worked so hard to stay strong through the pain. If you see our daughter, tell her mom was happy." Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more classic drama like this. I'll see you in the next video.